This is a story about a farmer in Missouri who had to flee his land because of the Civil War. Before he left, he buried his gold, but he came back to check on it, just not the way you might think. Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Treasures, where we tell stories of lost treasures, lost mine, hidden mysteries, and just anything that I find interesting, and hopefully you do too. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments. Thanks for watching. Prior to the beginning of the Civil War, a farmer lived on land in Missouri, close to Kansas, known as Bone Hill. Bone Hill got its name from the first white settlers that came to Missouri and found buffalo bones all over the top of this hill, so they named it Bone Hill. The buffalo bones no doubt came from the Osage natives that lived there before the settlers came. This farmer moved onto this property, started a family, and peacefully lived on this property all the way up until the beginning of the Civil War. Bone Hill was very close to Kansas. Kansas was an abolitionist state and Missouri was not. Not only was Missouri a slave state, but this farmer actually owned slaves. During this period, there were many conflicts back and forth. Just before the Civil War, there was John Brown, and also in 1863, there was Quantrill's raid on Lawrence, Kansas. Obviously, during this time period in 1862, this was not a safe place to be. So this farmer was a slave owner, and one of the things that he had his slaves do was to build a rock fence all the way around his property. This rock fence was not to keep out abolitionists from Kansas or to keep out Union soldiers. It was merely to keep in livestock. On August 15, 1862, the Battle of Lone Jack took place just south of his property, where 270 men lost their lives. At this point, this farmer decided that he had had enough. He didn't want anything to do with the war. He had his family, he had his kids, and all he wanted was to keep them safe. He put his land up for sale, he sold it quickly, he sold it cheap, and he just wanted to get out of there. But he also loved living there, and he knew that soon this war would be over, everything would go back to normal, and he hoped that he would be able to come back. One day he went to his friend and neighbor who he trusted very much, and he told the neighbor that he had sold his property for gold. He also told his neighbor that he planned on returning when the war was over, or at most 7 years from that date, and that he had buried the gold somewhere along that rock fence at a location that only he knew. Years passed and the neighbor heard nothing from his friend. However, in 1869, 7 years after his friend had left, the neighbor was sitting in his house and he noticed something outside. What he saw was a dim light out by the rock fence. The neighbor knew it was 7 years after his friend had left, and this must be him. So he was excited to see that his friend had returned and was out along the rock wall looking for the gold that he had buried out there. So the neighbor got up, went out there, started looking around. All of a sudden the light was gone and nobody was out there. He was standing out there all alone. The farmer never returned. Legend has it that every 7 years a light can be seen traveling along this rock wall in approximately the location of this gold, and that the farmer returns every 7 years to check on his gold. The next 7-year period will end in 2023. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, hit the like, leave comments, subscribe. Thanks for watching.